Alright, in this video we're going to be looking at how to draw a column graph clearly. Alright, the first thing you need to do with any sort of graph is identify your independent and your dependent variable. So when you come to look at what you have in your results table, which one is changing and which one is being measured? So a little recap on that. So independent variable is what I choose to change, all right? And dependent variable is what I am measuring. So I'm trying to see how it's affected. You can easily think of it as your cause and your effect, right? The cause is what I'm doing, and the effect is what's happening. Well, in this case, we're looking at how does the color of light affect plant growth. And I'm giving you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different colors. So clearly, the color is the thing I'm changing. So that's my first win. Ding, ding, ding. This is my independent variable because I'm choosing to change it. And in that case, this is my dependent, and that makes sense because I'm obviously measuring the height of the plant over time. So that's the first thing you've got to do. Now, you've identified your independent and dependent variable. Easy days. Going down to the graph, we know that this is our x-axis, and we know this is our y-axis. So the horizontal one is x-axis, and the vertical one is y-axis. Well, our horizontal is always going to represent our independent variable. And our y-axis is always going to represent our dependent variable. So in that case, I can now put my axis titles. So the first thing I did is I looked at my axis titles. What does that mean? Basically, independent. We identified light color to be independent. So why don't I just write it down here? I'm going to write right here, light color. So that this whole axis right here represents light color. And the other one left over was plant height. You can write the whole thing. So plant height. But the most important thing is if your axis needs a unit, you have to have that unit there. So plant height in terms of what? Is this how many feet? Is this how many meters, centimeters? I'm clearly given a unit, so I need to make sure that unit is there. You can lose marks for that if your unit is not there. So plant height in centimeters, light color. I now have my axis titles. All right. What's the next thing I've got to do? The next thing I want to focus on, or you could have done this first, is your graph title. So that means your actual graph itself. What's going on in your graph? Clearly, I'm looking at how does my plant height change over time with different colors, right? So I can title this graph. You have freedom here as long as it makes sense and it has your independent and dependent. The effect of light color on plant growth or plant height, doesn't matter. You're just telling me what's happening in your graph here. Usually you can't really go wrong with that one unless you either forget it or it doesn't make sense at all. So axis title is done, my graph title is done. Now I need to make my scale. This is where everyone usually struggles in. All right, so we're looking at our x-axis and our y-axis. In our x-axis, we have qualitative data. So qualitative meaning that there's no numbers. It's just qualities, right? So what I have to do is I just have to list out the colors I have. So I have red, blue, green, yellow, white. Now when I do that, and this is super important, everyone has a different preference. Some people like to put gaps. Some people like to put no gaps. I'll show you what I mean by that. Say this is my data. Let's pretend this is my data. Someone might like to do this. Someone else might like to have them right next to each other. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter as long as what you're doing is consistent and it's the same each time. For example, let's say I'm here and I'm choosing to make my data look like this. In my first bar, I've used up how many boxes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. In my next bar, I'm going to also use up 5. So let's say I go up to here. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And see how they're touching? See how they're back to back? Well, in my next bar, I've got to make sure it's the same. I'm using 5 boxes and they're touching. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's the same thing each time. Let's pretend I didn't want to do that. Okay, I'm going to draw a different set. Some people might like them back to back. Some people might like it looking like this. Maybe you choose to do, again, 5 boxes. Let's say that's your first piece of data right here. And then you like to leave 1, 2, 3 boxes as a gap. And then you go on to your second piece of data right here. Again, you like to leave 1, 2, 3 boxes as a gap. And then you go on to your third piece of data. See how it doesn't matter? You're seeing the same trend each time. The only thing that matters is that the gaps in between my data and the width of my actual column is the same each time. So if I choose to do 5 boxes here, this has to also be 5, this has to also be 5. If I choose to leave 3 boxes here, this has to also be 3. And you can't. Watch what I'm going to do. Someone might do this. You can't do that. Because then you've just left off this random gap over here for no reason at all. So whatever you choose to do, just make sure it's consistent. Just make sure it's the same each time. Let me show you how I'm going to do my one. The first piece of data I have is red, blue, green, yellow, white. I'm going to choose to leave a gap. So I'm going to do 5. I'm going to leave 1 box gap. And then I'm going to do another 5. Leave a gap. Another box of 5. Leave a gap. Another box of 5. So I've got red. What else do I have? Blue, green, yellow, white. Blue, green, yellow, okay, so there we go. That's all my qualitative data listed up there. Now, and see how I have these little lines here? You can keep them, you can rub them out, doesn't matter as long as it makes sense to you. Now I'm going to make my next scale. So this is my first scale, very easy. My next scale has numbers in it. A little bit more complicated, but we can still do it. When you're making your scale, you have to decide what number you want each box to represent. Or another word that it might be said in math is what number do you want to go up by each time? Okay, for example, in my specific data, let's just say I want to go up by 2s or go up by 3s. It doesn't matter. I can even go up just by 1, but as long as that number is the same. So I start off with the number 0 over here. And then let's say this is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Now what you notice again, And this is the most important thing. You need to cross-check this. Does your boxes go up by the same amount each time? Are they equal? Because if they're not equal and if you're not jumping up by the same amount, then you've done it wrong. You can't leave random gaps and you can't go up by a different amount. So I couldn't go, for example, 0, 2, and then put 3 and 7 here. It has to go up by the same amount every single time. Okay, well now it's easy. I've got my scale, I've got my data, now I just have to actually plot it. So you've made your scale, the next thing to do is plot the data. Okay, so red goes up to 14. So now all I have to do is go from red to 14. That's my first one. Whether you shade it in or don't shade it in, I don't care. All right, doesn't matter. Blue goes up to 18. The next one goes up to 9. So blue is up to 18. Remember, I've left a gap as long as I stay consistent. So blue is up to 18. So I'm going to draw that one. Please do use a ruler. You're not allowed to just freestyle it. All right. The next one is up to 9. So obviously between 8 and 10 is 9 right over here. So I'm going to put it in between them. See how those little blue marks have helped me know where to draw my line? That's why they're helpful for you. And the next one is 12 and 16. Oh, where am I going? Sorry. Oh, not having a good day in it. And 16. Sorry guys, I drew that one a bit weird. So is this one. Just not fully doing it correctly. Oh, that's lovely, isn't it? Well, it's obviously easier doing it on a paper than on an iPad. What matters is here, once again, I used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ignore that. 1, 2, 3, 4. See, I did that one wrong. This is meant to be like that. 5, right? And then I've left one box gap, one box gap, one box gap, one box gap in between. You think that it's not important, but this is something that will actually be checked when your teacher is marking this for you. And that's part of drawing a correct graph. If that's all included in your column graph, then perfect. Your graph is complete. So do the axis titles, put the title for the graph, make the correct scale, and plot the data. That's it.